Welcome back to the coffee show, everyone. I am your host, Kirk Pearson, joined by none other than the Waterboy himself, Simon Gautherin, and the newly crowned Australian Aeropress Champion, Nemo Pop. Welcome to the coffee show.
Woohoo!
My goodness. How does it feel to be the Australian Aeropress Champion?
That's crazy, man. I just still don't realize, really.
Were you just mucking around and decided to do this, and then all of a sudden you're an accidental champion, or?
I've been waiting for this since January, since I arrived.
Yeah, right.
to be honest, yeah.
So you've been really excited for it?
Yeah.
Well,
I started last year in France to compete at Aeropress, and it was just so fun. I was really looking forward to it.
Yeah, nice. Well, you were elated in the audience as well when he won, Simon.
Oh yeah, we're pretty excited. I mean, we've been preparing for this for a couple of quite some time now, and the whole process has been super fun to practice. And yeah, obviously like super proud of this guy joining the team very recently and then taking it home shortly after. So that's awesome.
Well, I'll inform everyone we're in a different set than usual. So the place I usually record is booked out for the day. So I thought I'd clear everything out of the front of the cafe, close up these doors, and we'll just record here. So where there's a will, there's a way. But you guys, so Simon, you're the founder of Apax Labs. So a mineral concentrate. What would you describe?
Yeah, well, it depends who we talk to. But if I speak to my mom or my mom's friends, I'll say it's a water company. But we make precisely mineral concentrates for coffee. We design mineral blends for coffee brewing or to add directly to the coffee.
And in like less than a minute, why is that important?
Coffee is made of 90 to 99% of water, and the minerals inside of your water will dictate how your coffee is tasting. So essentially what we do is we come up with specific ratios of specific minerals to influence the final profile of your cup.
It's kind of crazy how important it is as well. Like most people would think to themselves like, oh, that's not that big of a deal. But I had someone come in the other day and they described how they were making coffee at home and they wanted to know how they could improve it. And they had the grinder, they had the machine. And I said, mate, all that is left is to just change your water source because you'll be shocked at how big it is.
I mean, when you're making coffee, you're using two ingredients: coffee, water.
Yep.
So you can buy all of the tools you want, but you probably need to improve the ingredients before you pick up more tools. I think that probably makes the most sense.
And if you don't believe us, try making it with like dirty dishwater or something, and then then come and ask
That
us.
would be disgusting. Yeah.
Some 600 ppm dishwater
From Perth.
Yeah, from Perth. It'll just do the trick magically. But I'm really interested in what you guys. So I texted you this morning, Simon, saying if I thought like I won't be able to get you guys in the same room again for quite a while because you're based in Sydney and I'm based in Melbourne. But you've been experimenting with this device here. The Wave machine, which I'm really fascinated to ask you some questions about. Obviously, I use it in my cafe, but I think I'll get a lot of messages from people saying effectively that they think I'm full of shit. But the impact of it is like it's hard to explain because I feel like we haven't actually properly put it into words yet. So the application of this is in like the shipping industry. So the way this is applied out in the real world is that the water inside the hull of a ship will be pulsed with electromagnetic waves and released back into the ocean. Do you have any more to add to that?
We've encountered heaps of skepticism, obviously, at the beginning. And honestly, the first time I came across it, I was super skeptical. But just the fact that you get to try it with coffee, just using the technology in coffee, and you get to taste the before and after, that speaks for itself. And even though there's not a whole lot of studies out there to talk and describe the outcome that this can bring to coffee, I think it's undeniable that it makes a difference. And that's literally the reason why we started working with Nemo. We wanted to explore this technology at Apax and see if this is something that we could implement to our products. And Nemo's got a really good background in chemistry and physics, and he was interested in that project. So we thought, why don't you lead the research in the waved technology? And that's literally what he's been doing for the last, 2 months?
Yeah, approximately.
Yeah.
It really took you until you tried it for the World Brewers Cup with Carlos Escobar to really discover like what could really be the impact of that machine on brew coffee. And yeah, he became third. So definitely has a
And
big
after
impact.
Jack Simpson took second
Yeah, as
place in the
well.
World Championship as
Yep.
well, and Georges from Indonesia took first place in the Coffee in Good Spirit. So there was enough evidence that this was doing something. Like the proof of concept was there, but then we're like, we need to understand how it works, how we can yield the best results possible. And then literally Nemo had another little like local Brewers Cup in brewing competition in Sydney 3 weeks ago. Took down that competition like easily. It was like the easiest win I've ever seen in a coffee competition. And then rocked up at the Aeropress Championship and then took it down as well. So now I think there's enough. The evidence is piling up that this is doing something. But would you say that this has had a big impact on your preparation for the Aeropress?
Definitely. We just like sort of based the routine. Like both the recipe were really similar using that. And it definitely had a huge impact on like the profile of cup we were aiming for. We just did like yesterday we had the feedback of both like 2 of the 3 judges saying, what the fuck did you do with your cups? Like what the fuck happened for them to be so much different from all the other cups? And it's just like, what's that?
Right. So what the machine does is pulses ultra low frequencies of electromagnetic waves through a sample of liquid. I use it personally on cold brew, and I don't know what the hell it does and I think it's particularly, I'd love to see the research on what it does to blends, because we use blends of co-fermented coffee. So blend some co-fermented coffee with some single origin coffee, and because otherwise it's just too intense. But I feel like the impact on a blended coffee is actually higher. So because it's bonding molecules together. Don't know the science behind it, but one day the research will be done, I'm sure.
Like this guy.
Yeah. All right. So
Hopefully.
Do you want to maybe explain like what are the main things that
Yeah.
happen?
It's really difficult to have a full explanation of what happens to the liquid itself, because like there's a lot happening. But the really baseline is it's supposed to energize the OH bond in water molecules. So like target that bond and energize it via vibrations. So that's the main point of what's happening. But with this device, you actually like plunge it into a liquid. So we'll have dozens of other side effects that we are like struggling to understand and explain. Like, for example, when you do it in pure like water with 0 ppm, we sort of can isolate what it's doing. It's energizing the molecules, and we have a direct impact on the coffee brewed with this water. But when you do it, for example, in the cold brew like you do, there's like it's not targeting the water molecules, it's targeting the OH bonds. So there's a lot more of alcohols, polyphenols, and etc. in the drink, or all the polar OH bonds. So like it could be bonding those dry or bitter particles together and make them less perceptible. It could be like it doesn't. What we know, it does improve the sweetness. It does improve the perception of body and sweetness. It does round out the acidity, and it does get rid of most dryness and bitterness.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the main effect we can understand of what it does to coffee. But the middle part of like what is chemically happening is a bit harder to explain.
The hypothesis is maybe the polyphenols are bonding, and then we don't perceive them as much. So that's why you have this reduction in bitterness and dryness. But the end result in the cup is usually a lot less dryness, less bitterness, smoother, more clarity, more sweetness.
yeah,
And it's
right.
pretty predictable as well. Like
It's pretty
you can
predictable,
recognize
yeah.
which one's been waved like almost every single time.
Yeah, well, I mean, I made some coffee using it this morning. I couldn't help myself. I saw what you guys did yesterday, and having one here, I broke into this cafe at as soon as I could this morning and made myself some brews. It was good. It's really nice, and like you particularly notice the impact on like the texture. I feel like it gives coffee different weight. How did you use it with Carlos at the world competition?
So we didn't have as much experience with it. So what we did is obviously on the Brewers Cup Championship, we weren't allowed to use it on stage directly into coffee, which was what we wanted to do initially, but they refused. They didn't allow us to do it. So what we did is we prepared our water. So we started with the demineralized base, added the minerals into the water, and then waved that water for a certain amount of time. And because we didn't have any data, we're like, how long are we supposed to wave that thing? Like 10 seconds, 20 seconds, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 2 hours. So we started with 10 seconds, tried it. Okay, we can't taste anything. Started with 1 minute. Yeah, I can taste a little bit. And then we pushed it all the way to 30 minutes, and 30 minutes was way too much. So because we had no idea, we had no visibility, we were just like navigating in the dark. We had to try the 2 extremes up until we narrowed it down to something that was good. So that's what we did. But since Nemo joined the company, we've had so much more insights on how to use it and different ways of using it. And I think we've definitely refined the way we actually
quite
use
a
it
lot,
now.
yeah. But it's at a point where it's usable to win a competition.
So I might just get you to bring that mic up a touch. Yeah, beautiful. So what does your typical day look like when you're working for Apax, working on the wave machine?
It really depends because like I am working 2 barista jobs on the top of working with Apax.
Hustling, yeah.
I'm sort of juggling with all my different jobs. I work in the morning, then come back and work all afternoon, and some of my day where I have the whole day, I come for the whole day. Like it really depends.
Yeah, and so like, but when you're testing the wave machine, just like multiple different samples, multiple different times, and then just taking the data and writing notes on everything.
It's pretty much that for now. Like the very beginning is like I need to understand what it does, to what extent, what I can push like higher, and what does it change if I change this tiny variable a bit. Like it's the early stage was really exploring the technology and understanding how we can use it, and like how like it's all every day is quite different because there's like
and plans change as well because we uncover stuff and
we sort of like in a notion of like possibilities. There's everything we can touch, everything we can change. Like everything you can change in your brewing recipe will be different because you have the waters like it's just so many things.
But the structure is usually always the same, where we start with a question. Like we ask ourselves, can this do X, Y, Z? And then we map out, okay, what test could answer that question, and what is the current hypothesis? And then we'll either validate or refute the hypothesis later on. But then usually whenever we research something, so we have a whole bunch of questions, we find the answers to some questions, but then there's like another 10 questions that arise for every question that we answer. So like you said, it's an ocean of different possibilities, and it's very difficult to know how to navigate because you just have so many different options.
Well, it's interesting. There's a bar here in the city called Birdie that also uses one to make like waved clarified milk.
Oh,
and they've got a cocktail. So that's maybe we should go after this and try one. But yeah, I really wonder where the application will be in coffee in the future, because I mean, it's like it's quite expensive for like a cafe to buy, so we invested heavily in it because we sell a lot of cold brew here, so it's worth it and scalable for us. But it's definitely not something everyone has easy access to right now.
But even on top of the cost, like you work behind the bar a couple of days per week. Do you see this being implementable in the workflow for a cafe necessarily?
For a regular cafe, very probably not. Like there's 2 different type of use at the moment. Is like either you do it in the coffee itself, which is what you do here at Project Zero, which is very impactful, but you cannot do it after every single drink. Like it's not easily implementable in the workflow.
Yeah.
But what you do with a cold brew, for example, is really well done and it really works. So that's a possible use in a cafe. But there's also the use beforehand in competition, which is probably for now more likely to be the main use of that. Is like you use it before brewing, which is what impacted our cups in the Aeropress.
What did you think of the cold brew that you tried? Like,
it was great. It's lovely.
Yeah, it's good. Like it brings out this extra, I don't know, like apricot-y flavor in what we're currently using, which is the Tropic Thunder blend. But it's it's really interesting. I've noticed with espresso as well, it just cleans it up so much, like to the point where I tried it in some like a big batch of espresso that we use for milk coffee, and it almost cleaned it up too much. So it's like
And that's when you're doing it directly into coffee, because you're doing it for such a short period of time, and there's a whole bunch of different reactions that happen because the OH bond that exists are not just the water bond, but there's also like other polyphenols, etc. There's so much happening and everything goes too fast sometimes, which is why we have been really enjoying doing it in brewing water, because your window for error is probably wider.
There's way more control over it.
Yeah.
I do believe as well.
Predictable as well, yeah.
I do believe that some coffee producers have tried using it at origin as well.
Yeah,
so
in Colombia, the Loa has guys, so El Diviso, Las Flores Zarza have been experimenting with it, and in Panama, Kai Jensen. Yep. But I think just to go back to cafes and the application, if this was, I guess, like miraculously taking any bad coffee to something exceptional, you could find, like, you could justify the implementation. You could find ways in your workflow to do that. But it's just for people listening who've never got a chance to experience it. We use it in competitions because it gives us extra percentages to improve our drink. But it's in conjunction with every other thing that we do. It wasn't just Nemo made a random brew, waved it, won the championship. He's put so much work into everything else. So his recipe without waving probably could have won. But this was the one other small thing that's kind of like separates you from the rest. So it's not like a miracle thing that will make any bad coffee taste great. So that's just something I wanted to clarify with everyone. It's something that you do on top.
Yeah, it's a very expensive other tool you can use.
And that's usually like when you're looking at those like last couple of percentages to get to the 100%, it gets exponentially more expensive. It gets exponentially more difficult to get those extra little points.
Yeah, well, I mean, and I think it'll be on a lot of high-end coffee bars, in the next year. I know of some places in Dubai that have got them. I think I've seen some in Saudi Arabia as well.
Our friends in Paris.
Yeah, as well. Yeah.
So yeah, there you are in Paris. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how far it goes. And look, I don't know how much you want to sort of give us in detail, Simon, but you're currently preparing for the Australian Brewers Cup competition, which is like a very competitive competition this year. I don't think the level of competition has ever really been higher, to be honest. But how are you applying this or practicing with this for what you're doing now?
Yeah, that's the way. I mean, that technology is definitely an integral part of the entire presentation of the topic. But also, it means like, I mean, for us now, there's no way back now that we've started using the Waved. I think for anyone that has brewed a lot of like really nice coffees at home or even competed, you probably always face a point where you're battling because you're trying to push your coffee as far as possible. Like you're trying to push the boundaries of your coffee. And there's almost always a point where you're battling with some sort of dryness, some sort of bitterness, some sort of astringency, because you're trying to get the most out of your amazing coffee. Preparing for the World Championship with Carlos and preparing for this upcoming competition, and I think it's the same thing with the Aeropress, right? Like not a single time we've had to deal with astringency.
No, never.
Like not a single time. No, we didn't have to battle with dryness, never had to battle with bitterness. And I think what we now call dryness, the two of us, is like so far away from what other people would call dryness. Like we became so sensitive to dryness, and sometimes we're preparing together. Like that cup's a little dry. Like it's not perfect, but in the grand scheme of things, it's like that cup's like literally perfect. Like there's no default. We became so sensitive to it because we never get to taste astringency with it. So we're still exploring how to get the most out of it. And that's where Nemo is doing a really good job, and he's playing a key role in the entire preparation for the Brewers Cup as well.
So what's your background? You're studying
Physics and chemistry.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so
I've been studying physics and chemistry for 2 years. I have like 1 year and a half left when I come back to France. And on the side of that, I've been a barista for maybe 2 years now, back in Paris and also in Australia for more than 8 months now.
how did you get into making coffee?
I probably through the Aeropress actually, because I probably was on Instagram. We're like, oh, that thing looks cool. Maybe I should get it, which is one of all of my very bad decisions in my life. But this one actually made it up. Got it. Was like, oh, that shit. Maybe let's look into it and see how we can improve it. And then little by little get into coffee. And then on my weekends after school, just get to work and try to learn how it works, and then get into better coffee shops that really taught me how to do it.
Yep.
Yeah. And it's how it happened.
It's a great example of someone that wasn't into coffee, got into coffee, and super quickly, 2 years later, started working in coffee, started a career in coffee, boom, world championship 2 years later. Like that's a great success story.
Well, that's that's the other layer to this we probably haven't mentioned. You get, as part of your win, you get flown to Korea in December, and you get to compete in the World Aeropress Championship. So, hopefully you get the win there. Hopefully I get to go as well. I was emceeing the event yesterday.
You'd be a great MC for the World Championship.
Well, if you're listening, Aeropress higher ups, I'm available. December. Let's make it happen. Nemo's better half just had to get some Guzman y Gomez delivered, so we had a brief little intermission there. But I'll let you also know that Simon is an avid Pokemon card collector, and he got me some Pokemon cards. I got Nido King here and Nido Queen because I affectionately named the Best of Panama winners Nido King and Queen respectively. How long have you been collecting Pokemon cards for now? It's like your whole life?
On and off. Yeah, sort of, yeah. But in the last 7 years, it's mainly been as part of investments. Yeah, not an investment advice.
So you're like an investor of Pokemon
Yeah,
cards
I mean, I don't
now.
buy to play, I buy to sell. Yeah.
Really?
And if you look at the charts, it's been in S&P, it's been in Bitcoin, it's been in any other sort of investment in the last like 10, 15, 20 years.
So the best.
And again, not an investment advice.
Okay, so you're not a financial planner, you're not an accountant. Do not take this as an investment advice for you personally. But you're buying and selling Pokemon cards
Yeah.
and making money out of it.
Yeah. I mean, it was when I was a student. Actually, when I was your age, that's how I made money.
As a Pokemon card dealer.
Yeah, Pokemon. I played a lot of Magic the Gathering, but yeah, I made my most of my income when I was his age doing that.
Man,
Should
I'm in the
change.
I'm in the wrong biz.
It pays better than coffee.
Okay, I'm in the
But
wrong
again,
biz.
not an investment advice.
Okay, but what's like the most? Have you still got like a card from childhood that's like
Yeah, a couple. Yeah, Charizards. Yeah,
you've got like
yeah.
the Charizard
PSA
card?
10 Charizards base sets. Not first edition Shadowless. Not the crazy one. Yeah,
Because I had the I had the Venusaur card.
and my favorite, huh?
Yeah, and like the shiny Venusaur card, and I had a Blastoise card. I can't remember ever having a Charizard one. Had the Ancient Mew, which I think is worth quite a lot these days.
Yeah, if
but-
it's in good condition, it is.
yeah, well, yeah. But I just wish I thought
He
like
loves
a
his
child,
Pokemon.
like you did. Yeah,
Tell
I'm
that.
a big time Pokemon guy. I play doubles at the moment, and I'm always, you know, I spoke about it on the podcast recently, but I'm absolutely loving my Pokemon. There's a matcha Pokemon now. Did you know that?
No,
There's a
what?
matcha Pokemon, Sinistra, and you can have it as like a support Pokemon
Oh,
as well. So
wow.
when you're in battle in like a doubles battle, you got one Pokemon that's low on health. Your matcha Pokemon can heal you. So
Okay.
You have to get it for yourself.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
love matcha so
Yeah, I
much.
love
Sinistra.
it so much.
Sinistra is what it's called. There's a matcha Pokemon. Speaking of, before we get back into the coffee stuff, you and I are big time curry fans. And like, I think curry or Indian food in general is the most slept on cuisine in all of food. Like, look what it,
And they
look-
would agree as well. He's a,
I
they're a
agree.
big, they're big
you're,
curry
you're, an,
fans
you're,
too.
you're,
Yeah, I'm in
you're
the
an Indian
team.
food guy. Like, think of all the things that Indian food's given us. Like, I mean, obviously every Australian loves a butter chicken, but there's also, you know, chicken korma, chicken tikka masala,
Dosa.
dosas,
Dosa, so underrated.
dal makhni. Like, you know, there are malai kofta is my favorite, but there are endless. You know what Indian cuisine as a collective needs to do? Needs to hire like the Japanese PR guy. Like Japanese food is excellent, but like there are a whole bunch of things that are on the same level. Like I think all these cuisines just need to hire the Japanese PR guy because like, you know, I love my tonkatsu, I love my ramen, I love all those things, but I reckon curry's up there, like Indian curry. Agree? Disagree?
Oof. It's a tough challenge.
Tough
yeah.
challenge?
Yeah.
100% agree.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like some of the best food I've ever had is tonkatsu in Japan. But if you have like, you know, ramen, I feel like it kind of makes you feel better than the sensory experience is because, you know, it's a warm bowl.
I think if you look at curry, like India versus Japan, it's like the two extremes of food, right? And then Japan is like your clean washed coffee, very elegant, polished,
Yeah.
nothing like really stands out, but nothing's too crazy. And then Indian food is like your big, funky, anaerobic natural. There's like so much happening. And then
yeah.
maybe every single day, not too much, maybe.
See,
But
I
then-
do eat it literally daily because
But you serve co-fermented coffees in your cafe.
well, true. I'm a funky kind of guy, but like you know, it's so easy. You make like a big pot of dal at the start of the week. You can have it for lunch daily. You know, put some like I personally, a lot of Indians listening to this would think this is a sin, but I put some greens in there, like and some kale and some spinach, and then on some rice. You know, get the dietary fiber happening. It's brilliant. So
Yeah.
you know, it works for me.
Literally what I'm
And I
doing at
can't get
home.
enough.
That's
Like,
what he does. That's what I do. Yeah, we all do the
I
same
can't
thing.
get enough. Like my girlfriend is of course Indian, and you know, I get treated. I get rajma, I get dal, I get chickpea masala, chole, and it's just, you know, we could do a whole podcast on that. But back to the coffee stuff. So let's get back on to the importance of water in coffee, and we'll start with a little anecdote that I have, and that is that when we opened this store, the water here was so soft, meaning so there's literally no mineral content in it.
Or not enough.
Not enough. Yeah. And Melbourne's particularly has particularly soft water as well, which is kind of good to work with in a lot of ways. But when we first opened, the coffee tasted like trash for the first 2 days. And I had to actually change the water filter to actually get the coffee tasting good. I couldn't believe it. And I just, by chance thought to do it. I had a high magnesium cartridge. I put that on the coffee machine, and then single-handedly it just changed everything. It's kind of crazy the impact it has, right?
Yeah, and that's usually interestingly in Melbourne, we always say, oh, Melbourne's got amazing water for coffee. And Melbourne has incredibly clean water, meaning that there's not a lot of minerals in there. And there's, most importantly, not a lot of bad stuff in there. But when your water is really soft, you're also missing out on the good stuff, because water can have good stuff or bad stuff. So Melbourne doesn't have much bad stuff in it, but it doesn't have the good stuff, namely magnesium, for example. Mm-hmm. Very poor Melbourne tap water, very poor in magnesium. When you're brewing coffee, you need magnesium. Magnesium is like top tier, S tier iron, and that'll bring so much fruitiness, that'll bring so much brightness, so much sweetness to your coffee. So going back to your example of your coffee didn't taste great, you add a magnesium cartridge, so you're pumping a bit more magnesium carbonates into your coffee. All of a sudden you get more fruitiness, probably more sweetness out of your coffee. That makes total sense, because Melbourne's water doesn't have enough minerals to make coffee shine.
Let's put it like this. Let's do a importance pie espresso edition, right? So let's think of it like a pie chart, and I'll give you 3 variables: coffee machine, grinder, and water. Give a percentage to each one of importance, starting with you, Simon. So the coffee, the espresso importance pie.
Yeah. 70% coffee. Oh, sorry, 70% water.
70% water.
70% water. 25% grinder, and 5% machine.
Wow.
I could bring the machine down to 1%, honestly. It could be
I suppose
1 to 5% for the machine, but like literally the least important piece of equipment in your cafe. And that's a hot take.
The coffee machine is
is the least important piece of equipment in your cafe.
Okay. All right. Okay. I'm clipping that one.
I have a slightly different opinion, ever so slightly. I haven't played as much with water and espresso. I've played a lot with water and filter, but I don't know really. So I wouldn't dare to say 70%, but probably at least 60%, like 50 to 60% for the water.
Anything over 50 is pretty big time.
It's definitely
for
big.
For the importance pie.
That's the take is water for coffee, whatever coffee, it's always important. Then I'd say, 40% grinder, or 60% water, 30% grinder, and 10% machine. And I leave it to 10% just because working in a cafe, I know how important it is to have a good workflow. And a good machine is a good workflow. Like if you have a Damascus, Nesso, or Slayer, it's a good workflow. If you have less than that, you probably can do good coffee, but you cannot handle the flow.
But I feel like a lot of machines, they all kind of meet, like commercial machines that we use in cafes, they all meet like a certain criteria.
And that criteria is very low. So the criteria that is required to make good coffee, or that the machine needs to make okay espresso, is actually much lower than people think. All of the extra options that you have on top of that are literally meaningless.
Yeah.
Like your pressure profiling, your flow rates, there are things that, yes, will impact the flavor of coffee, but they're never going to turn a bad coffee into a great coffee. And they're sort of like fluffy variables that they exist, but even the top cafes in the country don't use these variables. Like there's probably very few cafes that use these variables, understand them, and get better results out of them. So for me, they're quite insignificant. But you mentioned something very important, because I answer that question from a quality point of view. From a quality point of view, any machine can do a great job at making a better machine, more expensive machine won't make you better coffee. But from a workflow point of view, having a great machine is so essential.
Well, this is what it comes down to for me, is the user interface, because like Apple and Samsung more or less can do all of the same things, but an Apple is, for me and for a lot of people, far easier to use because of the user interface. And this is where La Marzocco has always been ahead of everyone else because they have the easy user interface. Like it's so much easier to program a La Marzocco than pretty much every other coffee machine. Like there are some coffee machines where I feel like I could hack into the Pentagon easier than I could change the calibrations on it. Like they just make it so much more complicated than they need to. I just don't know how they all get it all so wrong. But like,
what name them?
No, no way. Like, what I will say though, I think the best coffee I've ever had, the best coffee machine in my opinion for making espresso is actually off a Slayer. So Slayer have made the best espressos and milk drinks I've ever had. But a La Marzocco, if you need to make lots of coffee, that's
from a flavor point of view, I would argue with you. I agree with you that, I've had better, like probably the best tasting espresso out of a Slayer, but I think the percentage gain is extremely marginal. Like a better grinder, if you're improving your grinder, you'll have even higher results. And if you're changing the water for your espresso, which is very difficult to do because we're limited by what espresso boilers are made of, if you could have access to amazing water for espresso, which again, no commercial machine can have the capacity to have, you'd have we don't know what great espresso tastes like because not a single commercial machine can have good tasting water for coffee. They're all limited.
That's because of the boiler. So if the water content is hard, meaning there's more minerals in it, the boiler, it can turn into it can sort of solidify.
Scaling and also corrosion with chlorides. So the vast majority of domestic and commercial machine boilers are made of stainless steel. And stainless steel has two issues. One issue is with calcium and magnesium ions being combined with bicarbonate, which creates scaling at hotter temperatures, which can damage the boiler, but also chlorides. Chlorides create corrosion in stainless steel boilers. And chlorides are top tier ions. Like they taste amazing. They make food, drinks taste incredibly sweet, very well textured. A lot of people confuse chloride and chlorine. They're very different things. Chloride is what we find in sodium chloride, which is table salt. Like that's one of the half of table salt, for example. It tastes so sweet. So most machines cannot accommodate for any chloride or for very little chloride, which means that we don't have any, which means that we lack so much sweetness, so much texture. So all of our espressos, if we could pump as much chloride if we wanted into them, they taste so much sweeter, so much rounder naturally. But again, in Melbourne, you'd have no chlorides, for example. In Sydney, very little as well. And the water that you find in the tap versus what seems to be ideal for coffee is kind of like the opposites. So you have to flip everything entirely.
Question that just popped into my mind, I'll start with you, Nemo, is if someone wanted to, say for example, someone's got a Breville machine at home, like a home espresso setup with a grinder and all that sort of stuff, but they want to improve their water. What's the easiest way for someone that's low cost, pretty easy to do, doesn't take much time to just overhaul their coffee water setup at home?
Look, it might be a biased opinion, but as you have a home espresso machine, you don't have the option of changing your water boiler. So you will have the problem of scaling and corrosion if you use harder water. So my easy trick to do that would be to use 0 ppm water in your coffee machine and then mineralize your water with something like Apax, for example.
He's getting a pay rise.
He's a company man.
Look, it's a safe bet because you will not fuck up your machine, but you will have the minerals in your espresso in the end.
Yeah. Or using a very soft water in your machine is also fun. It's something that doesn't have much minerals, doesn't have much of the bad stuff, and then adding minerals afterwards.
But let's imagine someone's listening to this. They're not sort of super into coffee. What would you suggest they do for their water at home?
You mean unfortunately, there's no easy answer, universal answer, because everyone's got very different water at home. So what I have in Sydney is so different from what you have in Melbourne. And then what he has in Sydney is so different from what I have. Like across the street, you can have completely different water as well. And from one season to another, from a week to another, depending on the weather, depending on whether there's constructions happening around, your water is going to change so much. So relying on tap water is never a great idea because there's a lot of variability and there's also a lot of stuff that shouldn't be in your coffee machine or shouldn't be in your coffee really. So finding a reliable source of water, whether that's demineralized or something that you can filter yourself. We use zero water jugs a lot because they basically remove all of the minerals out of water, and it's super cheap. It's like
that's a jug you can go get from the supermarket.
Yeah,
sort of
it's online. Yeah, they literally remove all of the minerals in your water, and you can add some more minerals afterwards. That way, you get to control everything. You get to not only protect your espresso machine, but you get to make better tasting coffee, and that's like super cheap. Like, do you have one at home?
No,
Zero water.
I use Puro packed up.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you can buy demineralized water in Australia quite easily, like Puro, which is a supermarket brand. If you're not a fan of buying bottled water, which I totally get, getting one of these $50 zero water jug.
One of the best investments you can make in improving your
100%.
coffee
Yeah.
at home. 100%.
I mean, $50, the filters are like, what, 15, 20 bucks each. You change them every couple of months or maybe more often, depending on the base water that you have. If you're in Adelaide and Perth, you probably change them every 2 weeks. But
Whoa.
it's definitely a better investment. Like, there's no way you can have, if you're buying an $80 bag of coffee, I don't think you can get anything close to the maximum potential if your brewing water is not like at least decent enough.
It's pretty incredible. Like we've both been to Jakarta and Dubai this year, and like the amount of filtration that some of the better cafes have to, the filtration setups that they have to have is pretty extreme. Like we went to a place in Benchmark Coffee, my favorite
In
cafe
Dubai,
in the world,
yeah.
and they've got like a whole like engine room for treating their water because the water's so hard there.
Their base water has, it also has like a lot of sand inside, like a lot of silica. It's the water is really, the water situation in the UAE is quite challenging. So they heavily invest into that. And I think, for example, in Melbourne, we're so lucky because of the base water that we have. The base water we have is so good, so we do very little about it. But in other parts of the world where their base water is not as good, they actually put so much work and effort into improving their filtration system. So when you worked as a barista in Paris, you guys had crazy filtration systems as well. Like,
There was filtration system in the bar everywhere. So
and also like really good ones, like reverse osmosis everywhere, really advanced remineralization systems. And coffee tastes amazing over there because they're putting so much effort into the filtration of the water.
What did you think of my top 5 cafe in the world list?
So not a single French cafe. So
Well, I haven't been to
missing
France.
a bit.
Well, I haven't been to France. But,
we'll have to invite you and fix that.
all right, what are your top 5? Can you are you brave enough to issue a top 5?
All right, in no
well,
particular order.
Simon's top 5.
Does it have to be in a particular order or?
Yeah, you got to go
Okay,
5.
okay.
You got to go 5 to 1.
Top
So
one's
Simon's
gotta be
top
noticed.
5 cafes in the world.
All right, starting at number 5, Benchmark in the UAE.
That was my number 1.
Yeah, that was your number 1. Yeah, it's definitely one of my top 5. Number 4, I would say, is Nomad in Barcelona. Absolutely amazing.
Okay.
Yeah, Frutas Selectas, I think, that one's called. Number 3, I would have Project Zero Coffee.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, definitely has to be in my top 3. Really unique stuff that these guys do.
Give him the money.
Number 2, Leaves Coffee in Tokyo. Phenomenal experience. It's the best coffee I've ever been served in a cafe. And number 1 has to be our good friends at Motors Coffee in Paris.
Whoa. Motors Coffee in Paris.
French coffee for the win, baby.
Best cafe in the world.
Cafe, yep.
Okay. Nemo's shaking his head.
Do you
in
agree?
Definitely have to agree with that.
We agree on that one, yes.
All right. Okay. For the record, they're both French, but won't hold it against them.
Not from Paris.
What part of France are you from?
Paris.
Okay, all right. So the hat's just there
I know.
for jokes. Nemo, what's your top 5?
I haven't traveled as much as you guys, so I don't like. I pretty much have a top 5 for Paris, and I'm starting to explore Australia a bit. So
Well, what are your top 5 in Australia so far?
my top 5 is so far. It's a bit tricky. I gotta say, from first to 5, I gotta say maybe probably first Diggy Doos in the city in
Doos
Sydney.
Best
Yeah.
cafe in Australia?
It's the best floodie I've ever been served in
Okay.
Australia yet.
Great vibe too.
Yeah, as well. Great guys.
Yep, great vibes.
Probably second for the filter offering because I work there. GV Coffee Roaster
I
in
think-
Surrey Hills.
I think that could be number 1 now, to be honest. Yeah.
Amazing stuff.
Um,
Better?
I'm gonna wait for Better to have
Yeah.
a full. I haven't tried the full Better
They do
experience.
a great job,
so-
but yeah, they'll
so
soon be in the top 5.
Soon gonna be there, but have to try the whole experience. I'm gonna give a shout out to Fidelity in the Blue Mountains because they do a very great job, and
Okay.
definitely deserve the top 5 for now, for my experience. And Project Zero Coffee.
Oh, yeah.
Have to say, but
All right.
Fidelity first.
And we're not getting paid to
Um,
say that, so
And I haven't tried that many cafes actually.
no, but I think that's a good
That's a-
summary.
that's a good
of-
summary,
the
yeah.
Yeah, no,
top stuff.
I'll stop
I
there.
agree with that. I would say that there's actually a fierce competition going on in Australia right now between like what is the best suburb for coffee in the country, and I think it's between North Melbourne here in Melbourne and Surrey Hills in Sydney. I think those two suburbs, they're the best 2 coffee suburbs in the country,
Yep.
and I don't know who's number 1.
And wait until Axel opens their flagship
Well, there
in
you go.
Sydney.
Well, let's go through the
And
list.
Surrey Hills as
Let's
well.
go through the list of what's happening in Surrey Hills. So you got Axel Coffee Roasters opening there soon. You got Jibby Little that are there.
Better.
Single O,
A single O, yeah.
Single
Beta
as well.
Coffee, Ruben Hills,
Hills.
Paramount Coffee Project.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and we're
everything
probably
there.
missing more.
It's always been really stacked. Like back in the days, we had Reformatory Caffeine Lab, which has closed since then, and now they open a massive, crazy flagship in Dubai. We'll have to go. Next trip,
We'll have to
next
go.
Dubai trip. But Surrey Hills has always been like stacked when it comes to cafes, and then it sort of like died off a little bit, and now you have like GB's Cafe, you have Beta, and you have that new Axel shop that's opening, and it's like all of a sudden, boom, it's back to being like the
Yeah.
center of
Yeah,
cafes.
100% agree. And then you look at North Melbourne, you got places like Small Batch Coffee, Path Coffee,
Flower.
The Flower,
Yeah.
Tone Coffee that just opened up. There's a place called what's it called? Cafe Tomy that just opened up as well. That's excellent. I could go on. Like there's,
We'll have to come back to Melbourne
I have
then.
to come back.
but they're the 2 best coffee suburbs in the country, if you ask me. And look, I might have to give the nod to Sydney. Like I might have to give the nod to Surrey Hills in Sydney. So Surrey Hills is the best coffee suburb in the country, if you ask me.
Yeah, that's a hot take, but yeah, I would have to agree. I think, yeah.
And I think Jibby she's probably doing the best job amongst all of it. But you know, I can't wait to do some more traveling. Hopefully later this year and try it some more. It'll be delicious. So where to next for Apax? So you're currently like selling all over the world. It's pretty much it's just about a full-time gig for you and your partner. So what next for you?
Well, we've had very promising initial results with the Waved. So that was one of the things that we thought when we started looking into this technology. We thought it's not necessarily easily implementable in cafes, but can we yield the potential of that technology, and can we potentially like implement it to our products? Because again, our products are water-based. So can we energize our products and get better results this way? Could we potentially create a new product that is pretty much like an Apax on steroid because it's been energized, or can this just improve the baseline of what we have already? So because the initial results have been so promising, that's going to be one of our focuses. But we also want to have a bigger impact on just cafes worldwide. Right now, we have a lot of home brewers that use our products. We have lots of the top cafes. But I do find that even though I think the workflow of adding a couple of drops into the coffee post-extraction is fairly effortless, I still find that it could be easier than that. And I think the next step for us would be looking at remodelizing water for espresso machines.
And so what do you think the next few months hold for you, Nemo, with your experimentation of this? And then, of course, preparing for the Aeropress competition.
Well, we never know what's going to happen. We're going to still keep searching, keep like getting into the details of what we can do. Hopefully turn it into a product, but
It's a bit of a roller coaster because some
Yeah,
weeks we go, oh, we think we can probably turn into a product, and then we experiment with something, and then it doesn't taste good, and then
within a week it can work really well. Then, oh, we did not understand anything. And the day after it works again. It's just like,
Well, it's interesting what you said before. Like you can actually use it for too long on certain
you
products.
can overdo it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I've tried it with filter coffees that I've just brewed, and like the difference between 5 and 10 seconds is sometimes ruining your coffee.
Yeah.
Like,
all of the tests that we do, obviously we have this flow of what's the question that we have, what's the hypothesis, what are the tests that we're going to do to answer that question, and then the final answer and everything. But we always include a part of sensory into that, and all of the tastings that we do are blind. And there are a couple of times where we're like, yeah, we're pretty sure about the hypothesis. Like we're pretty sure this cup is going to taste like that when we do X, Y, Z into the variables, and then we get it wrong, and it's just like our entire world collapses when that's the case.
That's my mood for the day, and then I come back and it works again. Cool.
Yeah, so
I'm happy again.
There's ups and downs. It's a bit of a roller coaster. Like I think we knew when we were getting into this that it wasn't going to be easy. So, but obviously, like we don't really. I think that's the reason why we get along really well. Like none of us take no for an answer, and we're pretty persistent. So we knew. I mean, going into this, I was like, I have a feeling it's going to be like very challenging. And Nemo doesn't take no for an answer. Like he's a fighter deep inside. So if it's not working, like he's going to work really hard to make it work. So hopefully we'll have something that tastes great in the next couple of months.
I've been wrestling with trying to call him Nemo, not Nemo, because Nemo,
I've been doing it wrong the entire time. He just told me today that he doesn't
Nemo
actually
is
It just never learns.
affectionately an Australian clownfish that made his way all the way to P. Sherman 42 Wallaby Way, Sydney. Is that a real address? I think it is.
I don't know what the address is.
P. Sherman 42 Wallaby Way, Sydney. If you're
Probably.
familiar with,
We'll have to check.
surely
You
you've
have to
watched
have a
that.
photo in front of that address.
Surely you've watched that movie. No.
I did. It unfortunately came out the year I was born. Like, I'm not named after the fish, but I've always been the fish.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh,
Yeah,
no.
of course.
So
Just keep swimming.
yeah,
Just got-
Gotta blame the
it's
parents.
my life now.
yeah, no, I like it. Have you been to Taronga Zoo yet? You haven't? Oh, come on, you got to go. You got to go. That's one of the like star attractions. If you're listening from abroad and you do decide to come to Australia, 100% recommend going to Taronga Zoo in Sydney. One of the best zoo setups ever because you're looking at a giraffe overlooking Sydney Harbour or something. It's pretty incredible. So, they do amazing bird shows and all these sorts of things. So I would highly recommend if you're traveling to Australia, go to Taronga Zoo in Sydney. Look,
Will do.
I know you've got a plane to catch shortly. So I want to, again, congratulate you on your success with the Australian Aeropress Championship victory. You got the Worlds coming up. So if you're going to tune into the World Aeropress Championship, Nemo Pop, hot favorite with his wave in water. I look forward to seeing you. Is there anything you guys want to leave us with before we wrap it up?
You all good?
Mm,
No?
good.
Well, maybe if you're listening at home and you want to make better coffee, again, we've talked extensively about the Wave. We've had amazing results with the Wave, but I would strongly suggest to be looking at the basics. So your coffee, your water. And then all of these things that we add on top, they don't miraculously make coffee taste better. Like it's a combination of his extensive knowledge, the hard work, and also every other variables being locked in before we get to look into that.
All right, for a filter coffee, importance pie again. You've got brewing device, grinder, and then water. What's your importance pie for filter coffee?
Okay, you can answer that one
Can go
first.
That's going to be a
first.
new segment of mine. Importance
Yeah,
pie.
I like that. Yeah.
For filter brewing, 75 water, 25 grinder.
And just nothing.
Period.
Brewer just gets nothing.
Look, you can
I
pretty
love
much you will have slightly different results within a grinder or to a brewer to another, but it's just okay, right, immersion or not, it's a difference. Gets a few points, but still negligible.
I would have to agree with him on that. And the thing that I keep saying that I think surprises a lot of people is that I would 100% prefer to pick my paper filter rather than my brewer. For me, the paper filter is so much more important than the type of brewer. So I'd rather pick the paper filter that I want, and I couldn't care less about the brewer that I'm using.
At home, I only have a plastic V60, and that's all I have at home to brew expensive coffees, because I never cared to spend money in anything else, because I have all the Apax set of waters, I have a good grinder, and that's it.
And plastic V60 is kind of considered like low
Oh yeah,
tier
I
brewing
probably should
equipment.
change a bit, but
Yeah, but you still make amazing coffee at home, and that shows that. I mean, think of it as like if you're cooking, your knife. Yeah, I mean, sure, having a nice knife is important, but the knife is it's a plus. Like you probably need to invest in your technique and the ingredients in order to make a great dish. Like having a fancier pan or a fancier knife isn't gonna dramatically improve your dish. And I cook with really nice like pans and really nice knives, but it's a plus. And that's not what makes your cuisine and your cooking taste great.
Like, just for example, maybe let's try to brew a La Esmeralda with tap water from Perth, and you will see, like, with all the good expensive tools, but with that kind of water, just probably gonna taste just as shit as a batchy.
Are you guys just do you guys just want to fight Perth or
Hitting
something?
on Perth. Oh, sorry, we love you, Perth. We love
No,
you.
Perth. Have you guys been?
Yeah.
Oh
Not
man,
yet.
I went there recently, it is fantastic. If again, I'm just advertising.
Great
Australia
coffee
here.
scene as well in Perth.
They do have good coffee in Perth, despite the water challenges. But you know, there's these creatures in Perth, or there's a place called Rottnest Island, and they've got these things
The
called
quokkas.
quokkas.
Yeah, our quokkas.
And there's a reason why quokkas only exist on Rottnest Island, because they're like, they could not survive against other predators because they're just so friendly. They just come right up to you asking for food. They're adorable.
Yeah, they steal your lunch and
They steal your lunch. But if you're like, and Rottnest Island itself is absolutely amazing. So and there's no cars. You just ride bikes around. So I would highly suggest you go to Rottnest Island to go visit the quokkas. But look, I know you've got a flight to catch, so we'll wrap it up right there. Terrence Crawford also just beat Canelo Alvarez in a boxing match, by the way, which is probably shocked the world because he stepped up like 2 weight divisions. You know, he's only had one fight at 154. He's been a welterweight before that. He's fought at 135 and he fought at 168 today, which is like, to anyone listening, that's a big step up. Like, he's been a lightweight and now he's fought at super middleweight and beaten.
it's usually the other way around. Like you go down categories, you don't necessarily go up, or it's much harder to go up than go down.
Oh, just to step up that much, that many weight classes across your career is just like absolutely insane. So good on him. Yeah, no, it was an excellent victory. But look, thanks again for listening. Apax Labs, Simon. Oh, I got to shout out to my sponsor as well, Time More Coffee Bar. So if you're looking for brewing equipment, if you're looking for kettles, scales, brewers, hand grinders, and what are you pointing towards?
Well, that's literally what he used. He used the Mill Lab grinder from Time.
Oh yeah, the Millab hand grinder as well, one of their premium. Consider Time More. So timemore.com, visit your local distributor. I use their gear in the shop. One of my guys is doing the Brewers Cup soon. He's using all Time More equipment. It's good, but it's good to have like budget options nowadays that are like really, really good. Because, you know, I think there's obviously other brands that have products, but these are like just as good and you can save quite a lot of money.
It's always been budget options, like the best for me. It's always been the best value of money out there. But there are other range like the Mill Lab, which is sort of like the more premium option. That's literally what Nemo used to win the Aeropress Championship, and that's not just budget. It's like
we tried them against each other. It was better than the Kinu or the Kamalande.
Yeah, and again, I'm a big Kinu fan, and yeah, the Mill Lab was phenomenal.
Well, there you go. You guys helped me out with the interactive ad reader. You know, I don't usually get guests to help me out there, but what an excellent testimonial. So Time More, if you need anything, visit your local distributor near you. Thanks again, guys. This is probably like the 4th or 5th time I've interviewed Simon across my podcasting lifetime. So,
Across your 3 podcasts, yeah.
So look, if you didn't get the message, folks, water is important. We'll leave on that note. Hooroo, everyone.